Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the electrifying world of European football.
Or giants clash.
Exactly. Continental giants colliding, the roar of victory echoing way beyond the stadium walls. Our mission today for this deep dive is to really unpack the reactions, the widespread reactions, to FC Bayern's dominant 3-1 Champions League win against Chelsea.
Who were, let's not forget, the reigning club World Cup champions at the time.
Precisely. And we've got a fantastic stack of sources for you. We're looking at German media, international perspectives, even what Bayern themselves were saying.
Yeah.
We want to pull out the key bits, understand not just what happened, but why this win created such a powerful story globally. Beyond just the score, how did this one match maybe redefine the pecking order? What lessons were learned?
That's a perfect way to frame it, because what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how one match, especially a big one like this, can generate such a rich tapestry of analysis and commentary from so many different angles. Looking at all these media outlets lets us really appreciate the layers of meaning, in a big sporting event like this.
It's more than just 3-1.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just the final score. It's about the statements being made, the narratives shaped about power, performance, expectation.
Right.
And how those stories then influence how we see things for the rest of the season. It's more than points. It's psychological dominance sometimes.
Okay, let's dive in then. First up, the German media's view. They certainly didn't hold back on the praise. They set a very clear tone, didn't they?
They really did.
The Süddeutsche Zeitung, for instance, they highlighted Bayern, and I quote, comfortably dominating their opponents at times. And here's the interesting part. They did this even when half of their defense had to be replaced. What does that specific detail tell you about Bayern's overall setup?
Well, that observation from the Süddeutsche is incredibly telling, I think. Being able to maintain that level of comfort, that dominance, even with major defensive changes.
Yeah.
It just speaks volumes, right?
Yeah.
About the depth, the tactical flexibility, the systemic strength of that squad. It suggests Bayern's success isn't just about 11 specific players.
It's the system.
Exactly. It's a well-drilled, cohesive system where players can step in and perform. We hear next man up a lot. But doing it against a Club World Cup winner.
Yeah, against Chelsea.
It shows a masterful level of preparation, a deep understanding of their own game. It wasn't just individual flair. It felt like a well-oiled machine, just compensating. Maybe through midfield control, maybe a high press that stopped Chelsea early.
That's great insight. And the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung kind of echoed this, noting a well-deserved 3-1 win and how the Munich side dominated the Londoners. But they threw in this curious, almost, ironic detail.
Oh, yeah.
They pointed out that all the goal scorers in Munich were English, which is, a fun fact, but it adds a layer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Given who they were playing.
Oh, absolutely. That specific detail, it seems like a fun fact, but it clearly kind of cuts through any simple nationalistic readings, doesn't it? It highlights how global top-tier football really is. You've got an English captain, Harry Kane, delivering the killer blows against an English champion club on the European stage.
Yeah.
It's a poetic justice, maybe?
Yeah.
Or just a gentle poke.
Right.
It underlines that these players operate beyond just club or nation once they're playing for Bayern or City or wherever.
It's a great little twist.
It's a moment of delightful irony. I bet English fans especially noted that one. Seeing their own hero dismantle one of their top clubs.
The plot thickens. Sportbild then called it a tough test successfully passed and really hammered home Bayern, extending their remarkable winning streak. They noted Bayern haven't lost an opening match in Europe's premier club competition since 2002.
2002.
22 years, no opening Champions League losses. It's almost unbelievable consistency. What does a stat like that really mean in the cutthroat world of European football?
Connecting that to the bigger picture, that statistic, not losing an opener since 2002.
Yeah.
It's way more than just history. It's testament to, I think, an almost unparalleled institutional strength. Real consistency.
Right.
Think about the pressure of the Champions League, the prestige, the expectations, the quality you face right from match day one.
Yeah, always tough.
To navigate that first game year after year for over 2 decades without a single loss, it speaks to a deep culture of Meticulous preparation, unwavering focus, knowing how to handle that big game pressure. It signals a team that's not just in form, but perpetually in control almost, regardless of squad changes, managers, whatever. It's a hallmark of a truly elite club, an ingrained winning habit few others can match.
It projects something, doesn't it?
Definitely. An aura of invincibility, maybe, in those first key moments of the campaign. That's a psychological boost for them and maybe a bit daunting for opponents.
It really puts it in perspective. Kicker also chimed in, praising Kane's brace, leading to a prestigious victory, calling it a deserved win and a very mature performance.
Mature, yeah.
From a side who refused to allow themselves to be rattled, they concluded Bayern had made an impressive return to Europe's elite. So for them, it's not just a win, it's prestigious, mature, and it reestablishes their status.
And that language, prestigious, mature, refused to be rattled, return to Europe's elite. It frames this as way more than just another group game, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's a powerful statement of intent. The fact the German press was so united in calling it a return to Europe's elite, that signals a kind of reclaiming of the narrative.
Right.
It suggests this win, especially against the Club World Cup holders, is being used to cement a psychological edge, not just get 3 points.
Yeah.
The insight there is how quickly a dominant performance can kind of reset a club's identity and ambition on the biggest stage. It's about asserting their pedigree, reminding everyone we're still here at the very top.
And just to round out the German view, Sport 1 put it nicely. Curious at first, then Harry Kane, which captures the drama, and stated Bayern laid down a marker. And Der Spiegel just declared, Bayern send a strong message to Europe, enjoying excellent early form. So yeah, the message from Germany is loud and clear. Bayern are back, and they mean business.
Definitely. Not just participating, dominating.
Right.
That consistent emphasis on laying down a marker, sending a strong message. It shows this wasn't just another Tuesday or Wednesday night game.
No.
It was a performance designed to project strength, signal their ambitions across Europe. It's about the psychological impact just as much as the points. For the German media, this win wasn't just expected, it was like celebrated as proof of their team's reasserted power. A bold challenge.
Okay, so the German perspective is crystal clear. Now, the crucial question.
Yeah.
How is this seen globally, especially, say, in the UK? How did they react to this German masterclass against one of their own top clubs?
Yeah, that's always interesting.
The Daily Mirror in the UK focused, naturally enough, on the England captain, Harry Kane, scoring Bayern's second and third goals to get the Germans off to a perfect start. But then they kind of subtly suggested Chelsea would be scratching their heads despite some positive moments.
Yeah, that sounds like a classic British media angle, doesn't it? It's that balancing act.
How so?
Well, acknowledging their national hero, Kane, doing so well but still trying to find a sliver of hope or a softer angle for the English team. Scratching their heads implies, like, confused resignation, maybe.
Rather than just being hammered.
Exactly. It hints at some positives, maybe softens the blow a bit for the home audience, reporting the facts, but framing it carefully.
And then the BBC chimed in. They observed that the Blues were ultimately outthought by a more streetwise and experienced Bayern side. And they also added that remarkable fact about Bayern winning their opening Champions League match for the 22nd season running.
There it is again.
It keeps coming up. Why do you think that specific stat resonates so much across different outlets?
It's absolutely striking, isn't it? And I think it speaks to the power of a really compelling historical narrative. The BBC's framing outthought, streetwise, experienced. That's significant. It's not just about skill. It implies, a deeper tactical nous, mental resilience from Bayern. And that 22-season streak, it's not just a number. It underpins that whole story.
Right.
Of deep experience, ingrained winning habits that maybe Chelsea, despite their status, seemed to lack that night. It reinforces this idea that Bayern operates on a slightly different level sometimes, where strategy and composure are key. It resonates because it's measurable. It's concrete proof of sustained excellence. It makes the outthought idea more believable.
Makes sense. And the Sun, well, they were less subtle, pretty blunt, actually, stating the world champions were given a lesson on the stage that really matters, as Harry Kane's double helped Bayern Munich brush them aside. Ouch!
Wow, yeah. Given a lesson.
And The Guardian highlighted that Bayern had Harry Kane ready to remind Premier League opposition of his ruthlessness, and that Bayern simply had too much nous. That word again, nous. What exactly does that capture here?
Those are powerful lines from the UK press. The sun's lesson on the stage that really matters, that immediately creates a hierarchy, doesn't it?
Definitely. Club World Cup versus Champions League.
Right. Implying the Champions League is the real proving ground. And nows from The Guardian, or for anyone unfamiliar, it means like practical intelligence, shrewdness, maybe cunning,
Okay.
an inherent understanding of how to win at the top level, even if you're not playing perfectly. It suggests smart game management, exploiting weaknesses, seizing the key moments. It's this idea, again, of a difference between Chelsea's recent title and what's needed week in, week out in Europe.
So it's about experience and smarts, not just talent.
Exactly. The Champions League demands that consistent intensity, tactical depth, historical weight.
Yeah.
A different beast to the Club World Cup, really, despite the name.
Let's hop over to the continent. L'Équipe in France reported that Bayern Munich held their nerve and defeated the newly crowned world champions Chelsea 3-1. And interestingly, they specifically mentioned Michael Olise's class alongside Kane's goals.
Oh, that's interesting they picked out Olise.
Yeah, why do you think he wasn't the main headline grabber?
Well, including Olise like that, it maybe highlights a slightly different focus from L'Équipe. While Kane's goals were obviously the big story, recognizing Olise's class suggests they were looking a bit deeper.
Beyond the scorers.
Yeah, at the overall quality across the Bayern squad. It avoids making it just about Kane. It points to broader technical skill, maybe other key players who contributed significantly to that control and dominance, a nod to the collective talent.
And then Spain. Marca was incredibly concise. Bayern showed Chelsea that the Champions League is not the Club World Cup. Boom.
Short and sharp.
And AS offered just very serious warning from Bayern. It seems like the message was pretty universal, huh? This win was a statement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those Spanish headlines just cut right through, don't they? With amazing brevity. They dismiss any idea that Chelsea's Club World Cup win meant automatic dominance in the Champions League.
Two different things.
Exactly. Marca's line directly contrasts the titles, positioning the Champions League as the true measure. And the very serious warning from ASES, it frames Bayern not just as participants, but as formidable contenders from the get-go, setting the benchmark. It really cements that idea of Bayern as this major force.
Okay, so we've heard this powerful chorus from the global press, a vivid picture of Bayern's dominance. But what about the winners themselves? Did the Bayern camp echo this feeling of, overwhelming superiority, or were they maybe a bit more reserved?
Strategic. That's a great question, and it adds another important layer. Interestingly, from what we saw from the Bayern camp, the coach, the players, there was more a sense of, focused determination.
But just celebration.
Not purely celebratory, no.
Yeah.
More like acknowledging the challenge, but underlining their focus. Coach Tuchel, for example, talked about the serious challenge Chelsea posed, showing respect.
Okay.
But he also emphasized the team's unwavering focus, the execution of the game plan. He stressed preparation, sticking to the strategy. Players like Kimmich mentioned discipline, the mentality needed to control the game.
So reinforcing the German media's points.
Exactly. It subtly backs up that narrative. We heard this was a calculated statement, a performance meant to show strength and intent, not just a lucky win. Their kind of humility, mixed with quiet confidence, actually speaks volumes about their internal culture, their long-term goals.
A pragmatic approach.
Yeah, pragmatic excellence.
So, pulling it all together now, what does this really mean for understanding Bayern's position in Europe? The broader landscape. We've seen Kane consistently singled out, his brace being the key individual moment, and that weird detail from the Frankfurter Allgemeine about all English goal scorers. L'Équipe noting Olise's class too. It feels like a mix of individual brilliance, especially Kane, but also that collective strength being celebrated.
Indeed, and that distinction is absolutely key. Kane's individual brilliance, the brace, that's obviously central. It shows how specific talents can really define a huge match. The English connection against Chelsea, scoring all their goals. It's almost poetic irony for the English press, right?
Yeah.
Seeing a player they know so well now operating at this maybe even higher European level.
Yeah.
But crucially, you have to see it within the context of the whole team's performance.
Mature performance.
Exactly. The mature performance, the ability to hold their nerve, the overall nows that the media kept mentioning. It wasn't just star power. It was a cohesive, experienced unit executing a plan. Individual brilliance amplified by the system.
And mentioning Olise supports that.
Right. It shows other crucial parts of their tactical superiority were noticed, not just the goals.
Which brings us back to that consistent praise for the team structure, the resilience. It's not just who scores, it's the whole setup.
Precisely. And that winning streak in openers, the one the BBC highlighted, it speaks to that deep-rooted culture of excellence, of readiness. It makes this 3-1 win feel less like an anomaly and more like, well, just Bayern being Bayern.
Continuing a trend.
A powerful trend, yeah.
Yeah.
It underlines this wasn't an upset. It was a calculated show of strength from a team that knows how to perform on the biggest nights. That culture, it's built on rigorous training, smart tactics, squad depth, allowing them to handle issues like defensive changes without losing their identity.
It projects that image of being always ready.
Always ready, always serious, always a contender. This win against Chelsea wasn't just 3 points. It was about reasserting their identity as European elite. It contrasted their consistent, long-term Champions League dominance with Chelsea's single-club World Cup title. It answered that question you asked at the start, didn't it?
Yeah.
About redefining the pecking order, imparting lessons. Bayern delivered a clear lesson in what Champions League ready really means.
So there you have it, a really deep dive into FC Bayern's dominant 3-1 win over Chelsea, seen through the eyes of the world's press and even from inside the Bayern camp. From the German media celebrating control and streaks to international outlets calling it a lesson for the Club World Cup champs. The message seems pretty clear.
Yeah, Bayern laid down a marker.
Definitely. We've seen how specific details Kane's brace, the English scorers, that incredible 22-season streak becomes central to the story, amplifying it way beyond just the scoreline, adding layers of intrigue.
And this deep dive, it really shows how media coverage doesn't just report, does it?
Yeah.
It actively constructs and reinforces how we perceive power and performance in sport. By weaving these narratives, dominance, warnings, lessons, they shape our collective understanding. For our audience, who follow the game closely, it leads to an interesting question to maybe chew on. In this world just saturated with information, how do these different media take some reinforcing, some slightly different? How do they actually shape our understanding of what it really means for a team to be elite or a world champion?
Good question.
Is it about one big match, a long streak of consistency, a specific trophy like the Club World Cup? Or is it the whole narrative woven around them that truly defines greatness and cements a team's legacy?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We hope you'll continue exploring these fascinating insights with us.